Okay.
Hello and welcome to the stream. Today we're watching two buffoons debate the future of our world, well, our country. We're joined by Bree Bree Bumblebee, who probably won't have much to say if she's drawing. So, yeah. So this will be fun. It's something different. And she's just gonna say woo. Let me move my head away from the. There we go.
Oh, I don't even have your stream pulled up.
Wow. Thanks for the
Sorry.
support.
I forgot. I forgot about you streaming.
Well, I would have put this in the Discord, but I don't think you. I'm gonna put it in the Discord.
It'll be political though.
Yeah, is that allowed?
I don't know. Check the rules. Oh, not your ad every time I open up your stream. This is why I don't watch.
What ad is it?
Verizon.
Oh, it's not an uncrossable ad today.
No.
I'm not gonna post it in there because it's like we try. I guess try to keep it to video games.
Yeah.
I've tried to stop into some of them who post
Oh,
that
there's
they're
your
live.
melon. I see it. Oh my god, wait.
What?
Do you wear a watch at work?
It's bad, ain't it? Yeah, it's crazy. It's not that funny. I even got a tan line where my ring goes too.
No.
Yeah. You can't
I'm
really
trying
see
to
it.
zoom in on my screen. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's what you get for working my job.
Nasty.
It's a wonderful place to raise children, and it still is. Promises
Um,
Black
oh.
Americans have been the target of
I'm not gonna listen to ads. What is this?
You don't have YouTube Premium?
I do, but this is their ad. They're running ads. Like on their actual thing. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Are you gonna watch?
One of 7 ads on your stream.
Well, if you use that Twitch Prime.
I don't watch Twitch enough to justify Twitch Prime.
You don't have Amazon Prime?
I do, but every time I try to link it, it doesn't work.
Oh. Your brother probably uses it then.
He better not. An Uncrustable ad!
There's those targeted ads we were talking about.
I like the Nutella ones. Actually, it's hazelnut.
Really? They have the Nutella ones?
Yeah. They're
Huh.
pretty good.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, look, there's a little Down syndrome girl on TV now.
Oh!
Don't need to be living there.
Yeah, because they're proving it as soon as they get out.
What are you talking about? See, okay, so that said, people with disabilities fighting to stay out of institutions. You're welcome, bud. You know who puts them in institutions? Their family. The institution just don't go and go, hey, we want them. We're drafting them. No, the family takes them.
Televised presidential debate in 1960. It was hosted by
What?
CBS with moderators from all the networks and was the last time there was no audience at a presidential debate. Welcome back to CBS News. And tonight we will hear the presidential candidates discuss the direction of America and the issues that matter most. This is arguably the most important debate since that 1960 debate. And we should note also that there's been little movement in the polls between President Biden and Donald Trump. Could this debate change the trajectory?
What do you mean?
And our polling director,
Trump's
Anthony
been
Salvato,
leading
and I know,
most of the
Anthony,
time.
you have new polling out tonight. What are we learning?
I do, and one word for this race, Nora, like you said, it's close. Look, this is the national number. That's well within the margin of error. This is effectively tied, but what matters, to remind everybody, are what we call the battleground states, the closest states, the ones that will decide this. I'm going to show you a string of those, and this is just even race after even race. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan.
How many people
states Joe Biden won last time
are taken?
Close. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. That is your story for context, but the question is why, and what do people want tonight? So watch this. Democrats say they want Joe Biden tonight to take a more forceful tone. Why is that? Well, Ed mentioned earlier about that apprehension. Let me show you this. Among Joe Biden's supporters, their top reason for voting for Biden is, they say, to oppose Donald Trump. So I think you'll see Joe Biden tonight try to make this about Donald Trump, because he does better when people think it's a referendum on Donald Trump. But Trump, for his part, let me show you this. His advantage is that people remember the economy under him well. So take a look at this big gap. More people think they will be financially better off with Donald Trump as president than if Joe Biden wins. So you expect Donald Trump to press that advantage as well? And so what does that mean? That means
Is this about to start? Jesus.
Donald Trump to take a more polite tone. They know he's got the base, but he's got that overall edge on the economy.
Of course the Dems want him to be more polite because they can't handle the truth.
Learn anything tonight that you think could change your mind? And it's 11% who say they definitely could. That's not a big
No,
deal.
views
It
won't
comes back to
change.
that idea of close. Nora.
I can't wait to see Biden's
Interesting, Anthony
brain
Salvato.
break.
Thank you so much. We've also learned from Anthony's polling the importance of abortion rights or reproductive rights. And Margaret, just today, that ruling from the Supreme Court about Idaho, which is one of 6 states in America that has a near total ban, where they've lost 20% of their OBGYNs because doctors there are concerned about being prosecuted for providing health care, essentially, to women who may be having a miscarriage.
That's
How do you
not
see this
that's
tonight
misleading.
on stage and as voters go
That is part of healthcare. That's not what was banned.
Sent the issue back to the states, and Donald Trump is likely going to say that's where it needs to stay.
And that's where it
He's
needs to
going
stay.
engage on some of the substance that you just laid out in these tough decisions that come down to, is it health care that is life-saving or not in that specific case?
And can I just say why I think that's interesting too? Because then shouldn't Joe Biden make the argument, oh, well, I sued Idaho to protect the rights of women. And we're in a dire medical situation. Would you, not Donald Trump, have challenged the state of Idaho to protect women?
And it'll be really interesting to see how much he engages on this. But Joe Biden, as president, rarely discusses the issue of abortion. And he has
You think
said,
he'll make
I'm
sense?
just not big on it.
No, I'm waiting for some crazy ass word to come out of his mouth.
But to your point, this is something that is going to be a political force, no matter how comfortable. This is an uncomfortable topic to talk about. But we know that
Are you drawing my head over there?
abortion was a driving force.
That's pretty big.
In a way that helped Democrats. They held on to
I don't know. I feel like I gotta go on the roof and lay on my stomach so that my underarms tan. Because they're white as hell compared to my forearm.
Are they done up on the roof?
No. They'll be there tomorrow.
Are they big old cream again?
Huh? No. No, those two other units are gonna sit there for a while.
Super enthusiastic about the candidate himself. And Democrats
Probably like
at 11 states
3
this
weeks or
fall,
something
they're
like
on your
that.
screen, where the issue of abortion access will literally be on the ballot as a standalone issue. And it includes battlegrounds like Arizona and Nevada. And
Well, here's the
state
thing. You need to let the people choose their abortion plans. You can't just be like, we're going to choose for you. No, let people make the choice.
Supreme Court sent it back to the states to decide on legality, and that there shouldn't be a federal policy. But that frustration has frustrated some of the religious conservatives.
That
in the Republican
frustration
Party
is
who
frustrated.
Want Donald Trump
Yeah.
to attempt a national ban or restrictions. Joe Biden's campaign has just tried to harness the political power by arguing that it was Trump who put those Supreme Court justices on that court that struck down Roe versus Wade, and that reproductive health care of all types, IVF, access to birth control, all of it's under threat if Trump is reelected.
That's not true.
That's a message, though, where you would be more likely to hear from Vice President Harris if she was on that stage. She's been delivering it for the campaign.
She don't deliver anything but a weird-ass laugh.
Biden, but he may avoid discussing
That weird
abortion
cackle she does.
directly. Now, one of the things
I
that
like
we've
when she
also
was like, "We did it,
are
Joe."
rolling here
Yeah, we did it.
gonna
We did it, Joe. We did it. I'm just standing randomly in my front yard for no reason.
ranks lower than the economy, lower than inflation.
And she's
lower than
never, like,
border,
she's been to the border
lower than
once.
state of democracy, and lower than
Biden's like, oh, I've been to the
It
border,
is a
bro. You're in
counterproductive
Austin,
and
Texas.
not
That ain't the
everything.
border.
I would say, Nora, being on the road in Arizona in the last few months, I've heard from
You don't know what's going
liberal
on.
and Democratic activists
No.
in that state who see these polls that show Trump ahead, maybe 1 or 2 points, and they say, no, don't worry about it. We have more volunteers than we know what to do with who are willing to work with us on knocking on doors and getting people to vote on the abortion issue specifically. They're turning in the petition ballot or the petition signatures next week to get that issue on the ballot officially. They expect it to pass over.
Because nobody, like, both red and blue, there's a lot of people like myself that think, like, yeah, an abortion is health care. But if you're going around spreading your legs, getting knocked up by every guy you sleep with, it's not birth control.
And you often hear, though, that people will vote with their pocketbooks, which means your money and
You
your
know?
wallet, whether you have it,
Yeah.
whether you don't have it, everybody
Like,
wants
that's
it.
what they got
That's
Plan
why
B
the
for.
economy really matters. That's one of the main issue for voters.
If you can't afford $50 for that, you can't afford $350 for an abortion.
Which is partly why people say they don't feel good about this economy, despite the numbers. Senior business
Yeah,
and
but despite what
technology
numbers, the economy
Jolene
sucks.
Gent joins us now. Jolene, help us understand this, because the numbers show that the economy is well, but that is not how people feel. Why is that?
Who said the economy's well?
I don't know who said the economy is well. But it cost me $43 for 3 meals, 3 regular meals at Wendy's today.
43?
$43.
I'm gonna get that 5 for 5 or get that 4 for 4.
Well, you know, little brothers who are bougie and want the Baconator.
That has cooled off from its 9% peak, and we're down now at
I don't blame him for
3.3%.
that.
So overall,
But
the
get it
numbers are
yourself
strong.
if
You've
you
seen
want.
Historic low unemployment, 4%. I've seen it lower before. They need to stop
seem to point
fudging
in
numbers.
the right direction, but not everyone's feeling that when you just dig a little bit deeper, Gail.
So
Like,
do
you need
think
an
the
unemployment
administration
number.
needs to do
A
better
low
job
number,
on its
preferably,
messaging?
because that
They
means
certainly tell us that, but
people are
still
changing
don't get that
jobs.
message.
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to a voter in Minnesota today, an independent
Minnesota.
voter who's really on the fence. She voted for Obama in 2008, and she voted for Trump in 2020. And she basically says for her it comes down to how much she's paying at the grocery store, among other issues. The
That's not gonna
economy is really
change.
important. So if you take a look at our Money Watch price tracker, you can see why she's feeling that pinch. She's got 4 kids. She lives in Plymouth, Minnesota. A dozen eggs, double the price compared to pre-pandemic levels. Of course, that was when President Trump was in office. A loaf of bread up 50%, a pound of coffee up 40%. Gas, of course, you feel that, up 30%. Now, when you look back at just President Biden's term in office so far, inflation is indeed up 20%. And that's where
That's the problem.
Even though wage growth does outpace inflation, it's not by very much. And then if you pivot and you take a look at the housing market, overall housing prices far outpace wage growth. That's where people are feeling a lot of frustration.
Here's the other issue, too. There should be no wage growth.
And you've got maybe one rate
You should not
on the table.
be wanting to sit at a job for 20 years and slowly climb
Batteries are up too.
that way. You know what I mean?
Yes, AAA batteries, they're up.
Like, when I started working at 15, I started for like $5.50 an hour. Before I am where I am now, I jumped like every 2 years to a new job, and I was already making what they offered me when I came to work where we work now. So it wasn't like I was losing anything. I got like $1 more.
Yeah.
So like that's what you do. You can't sit like there's no such thing as company loyalty anymore. Like you don't sit there and be like, "Oh, well here, I'm going to give you 20 years And then you're going to give me a pension and all. Like, there's no such thing. I mean, the boomers kind of ruined that for everybody. Union this, union that. Unions are, like, probably the worst things ever. Like, because now you have these representatives that want to do the 32-hour work week. Damn them boomers, right, D? Want to do the 32-hour work week, and then you still get paid 40 hours, and they're like, well, where's the 8 hours that we're paying for? Like, the wage is going to change. But they got to get rid of stupid taxes. Like, everything needs to be readjusted for today's day and age. Yeah, it's gonna be a shit show, that's for sure, D. What do you think, Bree? Is it gonna be a shit show?
Probably.
Can't wait for NCAA to drop in like what, 2.5 weeks. Uh-oh.
What?
Was that my computer or your computer?
No, it was mine.
Okay. So, since you're here now, Dalton, what are your thoughts on the whole Doc situation? Because me and Larry have been talking about it. Because just more evidence keeps coming out, and it's very conflicting.
Are you talking about the doctor disrespect stuff?
Yeah, it's like to the point where I think also think like, I'm not gonna watch him again. But it's just weird that it was a group of people that work at Twitch that just went after him. Like, that's really what it was. Oh, look, rockets. I like rockets. Yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's funny, like, people pointed out the timeline, and, like, apparently this happened in 2017. Him talking to the said minor that was 17 years old and 11 months, apparently. Who knows?
He couldn't have waited another month.
Right, but also, nothing happened until 2020. And according to an actual Twitch employee who read it, nothing happened. Like, nothing. There were no pictures, no nothing.
So what did they talk about?
Yeah. Well, apparently she was in a program that his company ran to grow her channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and apparently more than just him had access to how to chat. Something like that opens up.
Really him?
Exactly. Like, that's my thing. Then how do you know it was him? How do you know it wasn't Alex, whoever Alex is? You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
It was like that movie Waiting, yeah. Yeah, but that guy that spoke up on the wrong way. And he was sitting there with Destiny, who's a creep and a loser on his own. So, the guy sits there and debates people and thinks he's winning. Bro, your wife left you because you let her sleep with other men. Like, no. You don't have a man card, you're a bitch. What's your view on that, Bree?
On what?
The whole open relationship thing.
Oh, I mean...
Because that's what happened. Destiny was like, yeah, we're in an open relationship. And she goes, no, I'm not. And left him.
They're not really... I mean, they have a possibility of working out, but usually not.
And she was the only one getting any action because
Oh,
Apparently, he's a
yeah,
loser.
He was just a cuck.
He's a loser. Like he mumbles as bad and stutters as bad as Joe Biden when he debates like Ben Shapiro and shit. Like that's embarrassing. Like just keep your ass off the internet, please. And everybody like him and Hassan, people that follow them, just get off the internet. Because you're doing nothing but hurting yourselves and your future. Go read a damn book, go touch grass. Go get a tan on a roof. You know what I mean? See, at the end of the day, I'm here for shits and giggles. I'm here to laugh at these two fuckers. Let me unmute this. Because this guy looks very...
Will not be able to hear them. So do they practice facial expressions? Do they, scoff, or do they just stand there and shake their head? No, it's not true. They're going to have to wait their turn. And that changes the dynamic in all these things. Because what do we always seize on? It's those moments of friction.
And that is the theater, and that is about the impression. And if you remember in that period in time back in 2020, Joe Biden was running on this argument of competence in the midst of chaos.
He's not even competent.
We didn't have a vaccine then. We were in the midst of this pandemic that had upended our lives, and that's what's so interesting about Anthony's polling about the economy.
You gonna sit here and watch this debate?
Under Donald Trump, forgetting he was the one who shut down the economy because of what was happening. But I think in our polling, one of the things that's so interesting, Ed, is when we talk about the seriousness of the issues facing the country now.
What did you do? Why did my screen just go black? Now green. I feel like I'm watching an old 90s start to a movie trailer.
75% of voters say Trump should explain his plans for the future.
Did you really just copy and flip the damn eye?
I didn't flip it yet, but I copied it.
Wow.
We haven't heard from either of them.
What's wrong with that?
Zero talent.
Yeah, all right. I want to see you do something.
Hey, my eyes would look like kidney beans over there, so I'm good.
So that is something that hasn't, that sort of sharp policy debate that I think that
Huh?
voters are craving. Wait a minute,
Kidney beans or the beans that are in chili?
What their plan is for the future. How are they going to make my life better and my children's lives better? What are they going to do for me, the taxpayer?
And also, this goes back to, did you prepare for the debate or didn't you prepare for the debate? You can't riff your way through a presidency.
Yeah, you
can't
can.
just wing it and be kind of in
What
the
do you
moment
think
when
he's
you're
doing?
Biden's been whiffing it the whole damn time.
that need to be tended when you have invasions happening. You can't just decide on your economic policy on the fly when you've got
Biden's done it.
forces globally. Also, with the advent of artificial intelligence, you have to have a plan. You have to think things through. You have to anticipate, and all of that comes down to
What are
the
you drawing?
stylistic difference between the two.
I don't know.
So it
Oh,
is
she don't know
theater
what she's
review,
drawing.
but it attaches to a crucial thing about
It's
the
Bree
presidency, which is that it
from
is a
work.
job that you cannot just improvise
She's
your way.
drawing, yeah.
You?
No, maybe. It's a big ass head, ain't it?
And
And it's bald. Thanks, dude. Thanks a lot.
I didn't draw its hair yet.
You know, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, it looks like she's drawing pretty good.
What in
Shut up.
All they,
would lead you to believe
all they do is roast you.
Because I just think
Oh, yeah, that's all he does.
there is so much at stake for both of them. There always is. But in this particular case, Joe Biden has to bring it to show, look, that I'm physically capable of doing this.
He's not physically
Donald Trump has
capable.
to show that I can be, quote,
Does he have
presidential,
any
that I
drawing
can-
requests?
that I can, quote,
Do you have any
create.
drawing
We'll do
requests?
that. Yeah. They both have something to bring to the audience tonight.
We're going to find out in
Like
less than
what?
25
If it's something
minutes.
And I can't wait.
Like a
If it's something
video-
stupid, then
Like a
I won't
video
do
game?
it.
A video game character. He only knows like Fortnite.
Oh, what
Renegade
skin?
Raider.
The what?
Renegade Raider.
What the hell's a
Not
renegade
the
rig?
Renegade Raider.
Oh my god, another ad, another commercial. Man, I think they play more ads than I do. Ah.
You don't know what a Renegade Raider is?
No, I do not know what a renegade raider is.
Look her up. Look her up.
Now I have to do the Renegade Raider.
What's it called? Can I say streamers?
I can
What do you
attempt
mean
the
say
Renegade
streamers?
Can I just say stream? Cause
Oh look, I got a Marine Corps ad.
Cause I don't want to.
That's very targeted.
Okay, see the. Wait.
Does he want Renegade Raider?
Do you want Renegade Raider?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said yeah. So how's the new job going, Dalt?
Dalton?
Yeah. So you want to say hi?
Hi, Dalton.
I don't know. He might still be here. I don't know.
You almost have 100 followers.
Yeah, I must have 100 followers. All right.
Right here. Are they here?
Got enough clothes?
Yes.
Where are you
You're
going?
gonna take your medicine.
Yeah, I have.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
All
I have
right.
everything.
You got no. Yeah,
You
yes.
don't Renegade Raider right now?
Are you drawing Renegade Raider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Are you
That's
gonna
what he
send me
wanted,
a
right?
photo
Or
of
did he
it?
want to change?
I don't know. He's going to Libby's house. He's leaving me. Well, shit.
Ah, then why am I drawing it?
Yeah, right. Did you shower before you went there? Before you're going?
Already did.
Did you shower? Your hair looks dry.
Stinky.
You're stinky.
Go on my hair, cause I don't want my hair getting. Cause I'm gonna go and pull out when I get there.
All right.
Stinky.
Watch my YouTube video get like copyright striked on this shit. What's tomorrow? Friday. Oh, thank God I'm off Saturday.
Oh, what?
Yeah. That happens to me all the time.
I refuse to believe you're popular. I'm just kidding. That was so rude.
Yeah, I'll send you a photo when she's done.
And now I'm gonna put it as my background for you.
I don't think it's gonna be like grade A work there, dude.
No, not at all.
She's been working on a character for a while now. Leon from Resident Evil.
Listen.
That is weird to say.
Why does she have big lips like that?
Is that a smirk?
No, she's trying to draw the lips, see? Oh. Yeah, he should come out in a boxing outfit. Biden.
One of 7 states where this election will be decided. Now, of those 7 states, Joe Biden won 6
Know
of
who
them
I
in the
wanna
last
see
election. The
fight?
one state that he did not win was North Carolina, right, Major Garrett? But I know
I
you're going
wanna
to break
see
it down for us because I am
Logan
so
and Jake.
obsessed with these 7 states.
Exactly. Good evening, Nora. Good evening, everyone. I know it feels a little early to bring back our old friend, the Electoral College
Do you
map.
hear
but look,
me?
we have a presidential
What?
debate
I said
in
I
June,
wanna
so
see
it gets
Logan
early
and
around
Jake.
here with the campaign 2024. So,
I'm sorry, Logan Paul would beat the shit out of Jake Paul.
who wins this election is going to come down
Logan
to
is the better
7
fighter.
battleground states. Nora just referred to them. What are they? Let's go through them once again.
How are we a battleground state?
Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and as Nora just
Oh, am I
mentioned,
supposed to be
North
watching?
Carolina, as well as
Oh, you don't have to. You can just sit here and talk.
won 6 of those states. So,
Lol.
we asked each campaign,
Lol.
what do they think is the easiest path to
Lol.
achieve victory? Let's start
lol.
with the incumbent
Laugh
President
out
Biden. Now, if he
loud.
wins all the
Yeah.
main and likely
Lol.
Democratic states on our friend the map, he just needs to win the states the campaign affectionately calls the blue wall. That's Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The president would also again need to pick up the one electoral vote from Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. That would
Got
put him
some
at
square
exactly
ass eyebrows.
270 electoral votes. We all know that's the magic number. Now let's flip to the Trump side of the equation.
Is Bree
If he
doing
wins
the
all the main and likely
YouTube
Republican
video?
states he won 4
No,
years
she
ago,
just
the campaign
streams on
feels the
Twitch.
clearest path to victory, hold North Carolina, which he won in 2020, and then flip battleground states Georgia and Pennsylvania. That would bring Trump right to 270.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The easiest path to victory is not always how elections play out, so here's at least one more scenario. Let's say
I know we're
Trump
more of
wins
like a
every state he
purple
won in
state,
2020,
so
along with the same electoral votes from Nebraska and Maine. That would put him at
what screws us over is
235
it's the
electoral
city
votes. If
centers
Trump
like
wins, the 3
Erie,
states he lost in
Pittsburgh.
2020 by less than 1%, that's Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia. He would have
Philadelphia.
272 electoral votes and be returned to the Oval Office. Nora and everyone, back to you.
See, look, we don't even matter if you think about it.
We are joined now by CBS News political contributors, Democratic strategist Joel Payne and Republican strategist Terry Sullivan. Guys, good to see you
I don't know.
both.
Hey there, Dale.
Come on, bro. You could have trimmed it up, made it a little cleaner.
What do you think Biden needs to do tonight to win this debate?
Well,
Not stutter.
There are two C's: contrast and consolidation. The president needs to focus on consolidating his base. It's something that Donald Trump has been able to do more effectively to this point. Joe Biden needs to focus on.
Yeah, they definitely did. But then again, that's because the city center. What the hell happened? The city center controls which way the state goes. So, like, Flagstaff is heavily Democrat. That's where most of the population is. So they're gonna lean that way.
Ooh,
What the hell?
I can see it.
He said he can see it. All I see is lines. Starting to look like Aang over there.
It's not Aang, it's Renegade Raider.
Exact same thing. What does a win look like for
Renegade
him?
Yeah, bro. It's Renegade Raider. Renegade Raider.
Is you've got both a strategic goal and a tactical goal, and the tactical goal is to have that viral breakout moment, that soundbite, and that's really important. Whatever the message is, that you have these moments that are
There's the
concise
camera.
and get played over and over again for days after the debate.
That's just saying the
Strategically,
pixels where
Trump
it's
needs to
at.
make this about the issues that voters care about, and that
So where
he's leading on, like the economy, inflation, crime, the securing the border. Those are the issues that he's really, winning on at the moment.
What happened to
And
we're going to build that
the
wall?
most and prosecute the case against
A
Joe
beautiful
Biden
wall.
for doing a poor job on those issues, and I think he can do that.
Border wall.
Terry, I think you're
The
so right about a
Mexican
viral
Yeah.
moment, because for people that don't watch the whole debate like we intend to
already
do,
built it.
what they rely on are those clips that they see on the news.
Oh, come on. 14 minutes till this shit starts.
All right, ahead, we'll give you a sneak peek into how
Wanna
we
give you-
plan to fact check the candidates.
You're going to use something that's only going to give you facts for Joe Biden. That's what you're going to do. That's going to say Joe Biden, Hunter Biden is a free man. That's wrong. Joe Biden's not a criminal. That's wrong.
Like, here.
I have no idea what the Renegade Raider looks like, so you have to show me.
I am.
I'm tired.
I have to drop these shoulders down.
No slouching. Wow, really? A 9/11 commercial. Oh, okay.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. See a little Asian over there. You look like Mulan. I'm sorry. That the one thing that does annoy the shit out of me with women is how they wear priest clothes.
Priest clothes?
Yeah, like, oh, I'm a priest. No, you're not a nun. A nun is the same damn thing. Just a woman version.
Thought nuns were girls.
Exactly. Like, I can't go be a nun as a man. But guess who could still lead church service? Who could still give communion? Who could still wash the feet of the poor? A nun. Do the same things a priest does.
I was gonna say I've never seen a man nun before.
You don't, because they're brothers, but they're eventually going to become priests.
Is she gonna add color to it?
Are you going to color it in? Probably not.
Good.
Bruh.
She's like, Oh, look, the queen.
Rip.
I know. Sad day.
The queen was reborn as Trisha Paytas' baby.
Excuse me, what?
I don't think you're on that part of the internet, are you?
No, I am not.
Do you know who Trisha Paytas is?
No.
Okay, then I won't get into
Should I know?
No, I mean, If you're not on that side of the internet, no.
Okay.
It's nothing important.
Is it like Sharon's toes?
Okay.
Trisha Paytas is so funny.
Is it like that girl that goes, I ordered a veggie sandwich and they sent me buffalo chicken?
No. Similar, though.
You're looking at Atlanta, and we are just minutes away from the first presidential debate. A lot will happen on the stage there, and our team here will fact check what the candidates say. Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett is leading.
Her eyebrows are like on point. I'm kind of jealous.
It's going to be a busy night. Look.
Yeah.
They're gross.
And the candidates will fact check
Oh, whoa. What the fuck are you doing?
What?
Her eyes are crooked. Eyebrows are
No, the
I don't know.
looking like Taylor over there.
I'm winging it.
The disinformation, misinformation space. For
You sure are.
data journalists who will do this work 7 days a week from now until forever, basically. Tonight, we will unveil the CBS Confirmed team to take a look at the things that the campaigns and the candidates say tonight that most need a fact check.
Hey, when I have a kid, I'm gonna name him Major. Like, why do people do shit like that?
You said that.
Not just tonight.
What's his name? Is Major.
This process with the CBS Confirmed team show our work. How did we reach the conclusion?
He's wearing a suit from 2001.
Or identify it as something false or something in between. We'll not only explain the verdict we've reached, but how we got there.
See, I wore this when Bush became president.
It's such an important element of what we
Baggy ass pants. At least you got dress shoes on.
about having covered so many presidential contests. We usually have the candidates lay out big pieces of policy, like their tax plan or their health plan. Or
Huh?
in the case of Trump, who has talked about a lot of things that he was
All right,
gonna
weirdo.
unveil. It just hasn't happened.
Who?
All right, weirdo.
Think about how much we used to
Naming my son Kia. What the hell's wrong with you?
and it was a constant, and then in the Democratic primary,
I'm gonna name my son nothing because I'm not gonna have
Oh yeah, we all know. I don't want
So we
children.
haven't had debate, policy debates.
You need to have some children.
Several cycles.
No.
It really now is threadbare, and that's one of the challenges for the moderators
Threadbare.
tonight, which is to get them to do more than just give kind of a top line, but in fact
What?
articulate what and how their policies work.
No.
That's a pretty hefty.
Seen anything like this before either.
Maybe.
You know,
Because there are two presidents.
You could be whatever you want to be. Whatever you believe is what you represents you. You pick. Be it Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Constitutionist,
I think back to the debate that y'all moderated.
new party, old party. Like it don't matter. Whatever you want, I'm not gonna judge you on it. I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong,
Joe Biden made a policy.
but I'm not gonna
I'll
judge
make
you
fun
on
of
it.
you a little bit.
Yeah, I'll make fun of you a little bit.
Supreme Court, and I will make that happen on my first choice. That was a
Because
policy.
when I was growing up, the Democratic Party was the right party. Everything they were doing were for the people.
who might that be, Ed?
Now it's for themselves. They get there, they're like, oh no, I'm going to do this for me.
Create a headline. Because
The only Democrat that I've seen go in office who shouldn't be in office, but is actually like flipped on the Democrats, is the dude from here who's a now senator.
Where did you get your logo from?
Where did I get what?
Your logo.
I made my logo.
Promises made in the evening. We have a record against which we can
You're talking about that logo?
just blowing smoke, or whether they put together a team
Th-
and
that?
a vision to execute that idea.
What logo are you talking about?
Candidates have been tested in the job.
Yeah, I pointed at that. I made that.
Might get into fantasy.
And how do you characterize each other's record? Each president has 4 years.
I'm gonna put that on a hat.
Joe Biden, a full 4 years for President Trump.
Actually,
Wade into that, and they
yeah, I was supposed to do it for me. He never did. Bitch.
to describe what is or isn't true.
What we see in our polling so often, though, is the short memories Americans have.
Sure.
And so it's not just fact checking, it's reminding people.
When are they
that
picking
when
you up?
They tried to recast Donald Trump as Ronald Reagan, peace through strength. Well, actually, he tried to pull troops out of Germany, South Korea, and Japan. That it is not about America fighting wars now, as Donald Trump will say. America's not actively involved in wars. We're just in such a different information space, and I think that's what's fascinating about what you're doing here, Major, where we are not just fact checking and elevating truth. We have to actively bring
what?
down the
What?
untruths and
Kicking
tell
butt.
you, no, this is wrong, this is why it's wrong. Because that ecospace
Wow.
out there is spreading
Showing your
such
age there,
ways
Justin. Showing your age.
outlets other than ours.
We are
He got
moments
you.
away from this debate. Let's get a quick check-in with
Libby's
Nancy Cordes and
Ryan
Robert
does that
Costa
too.
there in Atlanta. Nancy?
She'd be like, buddy, guess what? I'm like, what? She's a chicken butt. I'm like, you know what? I can't stand you.
Taxes, the economy,
Yeah,
but
you
first
told me
and
how to-
foremost, he wants to make the case that Donald Trump is too dangerous to allow back into the Oval Office. They'll say he's now a
There should
convicted
be like a
felon,
white credit
that
card
he
in there.
inspired the January 6th insurrectionists, that he admires dictators,
you in
that
here?
he's under indictment here in Georgia, in this very county, Fulton County. That is the overarching case that he's looking to make in the next 90 minutes. Nancy Cordes, thank you. Robert Costa, you are there in the spin room as well. Final thoughts.
Put it in.
Just was speaking to some Trump campaign advisors.
I still haven't
and they said
figured
this
this.
is all
Hold on, it's
about
too small.
former President Trump trying
Put
to
this
win
in.
over those Nikki Haley Republicans.
Tension.
He's already got his base, but can his temperament tonight, his
Slide in.
personality, his answers on really important policy
Ooh.
issues,
Ooh.
can it convince independents, traditional
Got that
Republicans,
one.
those who have skepticism about him, to give him another shot, a
This how
full
you
look?
take a walk?
We'll see. 90
Yeah,
minutes.
so-
It's political war between these two.
Robert Costa, thank you very much. And
See, it shows you how to do it.
anxiously awaiting what's going to happen, because I do feel like this is going to be not only
Really
a clash
lighting
of
off
personality,
fireworks.
but hopefully a clash of
See?
ideas.
See how I'm pushing
about
that pin
not
up?
only their own records, but what they'll do in the future.
You need it to
And,
lock
you know,
in
Nora,
place.
one of the things that comes back to
and
me
not
again and again is
break
how
your
serious the
thing.
issues are that are facing the country right now. And that it has to be more than a tweet or a bumper sticker, and that we are excited there's a debate when that used to be the very basic expectation of what voters were required to hear, an actual cogent, explanation of what someone was offering when they were arguing to be your commander-in-chief.
And when there's a bipartisan agreement on immigration about how to do that, where Democrats went the most conservative that they've ever gotten and pushed them there, and they still couldn't get
Whoa.
a deal done.
Americans can steal this debate back from the political system and say, they didn't answer my questions, they didn't talk about what I want, and demand that from the candidates. They don't have to take what's being fed tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you in our
What if I
coverage
don't
of the
like it?
CNN presidential debate will continue momentarily here on CBS News 24/7 and on your local CBS station.
3 minutes of ads. Here we come.
Presidential.
Oop. I miss that program Twitch used to have where you could run ads and they'll pay you for like running ads. I'll be hitting that button every 2 minutes. They'd be like, oh, if you run like 15 minutes of ads an hour, will pay you $500. I'd be like, ad. You know what I mean? Are you even there?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm running ads.
Imagine.
Well, I mean, if I was a big streamer, I didn't have to run ads. I wouldn't run ads. I can't even get my girlfriend to subscribe to me. But then again, I haven't asked her. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Yeah, they better come into like fight music or something.
That'd be so funny.
Coming out of the red corner.
Let's get ready
Ready
to
to
rumble.
rumble. Joe Biden saying he hails from Scranton, PA, but really knows nothing of it. Like, that's how he won Pennsylvania last time. You notice he hasn't said a damn word about Scranton this time?
He'll be like, what's Scranton?
Bro, that's where The Office was filmed.
No, it wasn't.
Where was it then? Tell me where.
In
Scranton.
California or Florida?
No, it was filmed in Scranton.
No. It's set in Scranton. But it was not filmed there. Sorry to burst your bubble. Are you looking it up?
Was filmed in California and Pennsylvania.
It was mostly filmed in California.
Oh yeah, most of it, absolutely. Yeah, I think they the first season was really the only one filmed predominantly here. Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock. Is it starting?
Yeah, it is.
Obama.
This is a CBS News
What?
special, America Decides.
What?
Did you say Obama?
No, that was that time when Donald Trump goes, Obama.
Good evening. We are just moments away
Half of
from
the back
one of
care.
the most consequential events
Yeah,
of
all
this
that shit.
presidential campaign. President Biden and former President Trump face off in the first debate of the general election, the two meeting for the first time since 2020. They will outline their contrasting visions for America.
Okay, we're going with I'm giving him Biden 5 minutes in before he says the word insurrection.
Confrontations before the election. Our CBS News team will be back after the debate for analysis and fact-checking. Now to Atlanta.
I gotta fix my camera to where I lean in, you just don't see a big ass bald head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then do it. Make it smaller.
The American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's
All you gotta
Inside
do.
Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and
Well, I mean, if I
State of the Union.
do this,
Dana and I will co-moderate this evening.
it
Our
moves
job
my
is to
screen.
Facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be
On the left side
a coin toss
Okay.
determined their
is
position.
Trump. On the
Are
right
they gonna be
side.
by their big names?
Yeah, I don't know.
For responses and rebuttals. An
How long is this?
follow-up clarification or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on.
Who's moderating?
Microphone will be turned
Probably some liberal idiot.
interrupt when his microphone is muted.
It is CNN.
Difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes.
No audience.
Contact with campaign.
Yeah, of course not. They gotta scoot the robot Biden out there.
To debate both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome
Would
the 46th
Biden
President of the United States.
look at him?
Do you think he has?
Who you waving to, asshole?
There's no crowd. Who's he pointing at? What did he say?
Great to be here, thank you.
Oh.
He said thank you. Look, he's not waving.
He looks like
There's no one to he really came out and waved to people like they were in the fucking crowd. Are you fucking kidding me?
he looks like.
How do you feel about people saying that Biden has some form of dementia?
Absolutely. You see it every day. You can see it in him.
But prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120.
No, you're wrong. It's $400.
More than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall.
What?
The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed.
What?
No jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's
I love how
exactly
they
what
use
we're gonna do.
unemployment rate.
Yeah.
15,000 new jobs.
He sounds like he has dysphagia.
We have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, there it is.
Where the kitchen table,
Drink.
Things weren't able to be met during the month. It was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents.
What?
So corporate greed can't take over. The combination
Why?
of what I was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're
Huh?
in a problem right now. In addition to that,
Not here.
we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos.
Guess what?
Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400.
It's $30, by the way.
$200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But
True.
Other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, to bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job. And
He's not
killing
created
us.
any
It is
jobs.
absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover.
That doesn't count because of COVID.
And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S.
Okay.
How will you ensure that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others.
I missed hearing that. China.
China. Pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never.
It is.
And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the
Not
last
wrong.
years under both of your administrations, the national
The
debt
6
service
Marines are dead
highs,
because of his
and
failure.
a new nonpartisan
Look at him. He looks lost. Oh my God.
$8.4 trillion
I think he just shit his pants.
Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved
I've seen that look before. Seen it today at work. Look at. Oh my God, there it is.
You want to
Bless you.
extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was
He's
growing
impressed.
like never before. And we were
Justin
ready to
is
start
over here
paying
drawing.
down debt. We're ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right
What
under
happened?
our feet. We were
Justin
going
is
to
impressed
something
with
that
your
nobody
drawing.
else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave
He
up
took a
an
picture of it.
unbelievable situation
Hold on.
with
You
all
cut
of the
out.
therapeutics and all of the
He
things
took a
that we
picture
put
of your
on.
drawing. He's very
Give
impressed.
him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it. Something which a lot of people don't like
Oh
to talk about.
God. Did
There
my
were far
internet
more
go
people
out?
dying in his administration. He did a
No.
mandate, which is a
I still hear you.
disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job.
I'm
just
still
a very
here.
poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
we have.
The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example,
No, he's not.
we have 1,000 trillionaires in America.
Okay.
Billionaires in America.
Okay.
What's happening?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes.
How
If
did
they just paid
Oh.
24%,
Never mind.
25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million.
But here's the thing. You're assuming that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, the two richest men in America, make $8 billion a year. They do not.
Strengthen our healthcare.
They make millions of dollars a year, yes, not billions of dollars a year. You know, that adds up to billions, but it's not a billion a year.
Dealing with everything we have to
They might make a cool 100 million. So like that whole tax everybody the same amount. Tax everybody 7%.
Is that supposed to be cleavage right there?
I don't even.
Does
Whoa.
not make sense. No, okay. I was gonna say that is not physically possible.
Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think
I know.
we're
Didn't he
stupid.
go
They think
meet
we're very stupid people.
Kim Jong
What we're
Un?
doing for other countries,
Trump
and they
did,
do
yeah.
nothing for us.
Yeah.
What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Oh my God.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's
Bless you.
restrictive ban.
Who's this lady?
Former President Trump, you
I don't know.
take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, The federal government still plays a role
It
in
shouldn't.
whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president,
That's more than half.
would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill,
still
and
have that
I agree
shirt?
with their decision to have done that.
No, I got that for
And
Christian.
if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The
Is
problem
what
they
real?
have is
A picture from the Grand Canyon.
take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks,
Okay.
you may know they're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, have
That's
him
Vegas.
decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many
it's the
young women who
Sphinx.
have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered
What
by
is he saying?
an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Why did you?
by just
Why?
What's he saying?
He went completely off topic and then turned back on topic.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar.
Yeah, I have no problem if it's the vote of the people.
On the topic of abortion, President Biden,
Why?
7 states,
Why?
I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have
Okay. Oh, he just got mad.
on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to
Yes,
terminate a pregnancy?
I do.
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between
What?
the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between
It's kind of boring so far. D. Yeah.
the woman and the state.
As of right now, it's like it's neck to neck. It's nothing that I'm worried about. Like,
about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making that decision. That's how it should be run.
yeah, but a law has to be in place for the doctor to make a decision.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican.
Yeah,
Nobody wants
no.
it to happen.
That is simply not true.
He said you're lying.
Provide for that. That's not
Yeah,
the
it does.
circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term.
But see,
Period.
Oh.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years.
Because no one knew better.
Because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion?
They're not going to. He's already said he wants it to be in the states.
7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of
Really?
migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago. And
This is the more important thing right here.
security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you?
For me, I'm sure the abortion thing was important for you.
It was very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, but made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers.
You're doing it too.
Making sure the families were separated.
You're doing it too.
What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally.
Bullshit.
It's better than when we left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get
Eat
to
a snack.
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do.
How's he liking it?
He hasn't looked. He's calling my sister.
I really don't know what he said.
Rude.
I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed 3, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed 3 American soldiers.
Yeah, I think he just rebooted.
That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons.
He lost Bluetooth connection for a bit.
He did.
Support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. Killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible.
It's disgusting.
What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, or we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq.
Oh, God, here we go again.
Burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day.
And got fucking lost.
Heroes that died. I went
I'm surprised he didn't fall.
World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
What?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
Standing to your side was on your staff who said you said it, period.
Look, he's not even looking at him and yelling at him.
Two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
No, you haven't.
American history. And they
sounds like I'm watching a resident at work fight with their family.
Is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than
veterans aren't supposed to go to war, dumbass.
Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO.
Shouldn't be in NATO
Are those
anyways.
terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief. If that's
Look at him. He looks so fucking lost over there.
They can't stand him. So let's get that straight.
I guess that was his little get me out of here.
Any of them, and that's based on every single bit of information. As
He's
far as
powering
Russia
down
and
pretty
Ukraine,
soon, huh?
If we had a real
Oh, them drugs are about to kick in real hard.
respected by Putin,
They PRN'd him before.
a lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double
That Roxanol's about to kick in really hard.
He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia.
Look, his eyes got wider. Oh shit, he booted up.
With Afghanistan, it was such a horrible,
It's like a sleeper agent. You
Right?
moment in the history of our country that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired.
Who's he talking to?
Moment in the history
His eyes are searching the room and he's talking to people.
Who just passed by the camera? Isn't the room empty?
Nah, the camera crew's probably there.
obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded.
Did he leave for Libby's yet?
You know what?
Huh?
Because
Did he leave for Libby's?
No, I don't know.
do business with them. They ran out of
Justin!
money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas.
Come here.
No money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Color.
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops.
He got a big ass smile on his face when he seen it.
Brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president.
Does he want me to send it to
they're
him?
just having headaches. That's all it is.
You can send it to me. I'll give it to him.
Number one.
Okay.
Number two.
What's his name?
Justin. Make sure you autograph that shit.
Is it just normal spelling?
Yeah, Justin.
Okay.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, she coloring it?
No. Why not sketch like that?
He told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did.
You
Color.
You can color it.
Do whatever you want.
He can color
Yeah,
it.
you can color it.
He said when he went in, he was gonna
I'll
take Kyiv and
make you a print of it tomorrow at work.
the old Soviet Union.
Coloring
That's what
sheet.
he wanted to
Yeah, I'll get Lorette to chase it onto a canvas for you.
He didn't been able to get it done, and they've lost
You can paint it. We'll have a paint and sip.
Yeah.
Troops, 500,000 troops.
President
I'll
Trump,
clean
I
it
know
up a
this is-
little.
For 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest
True.
salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and
I'll be right
get
back.
it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, All that money we give Ukraine and from weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much.
Yeah, D, this is pretty funny.
Ukraine as we have.
Biden's all over the fucking place.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans.
Why aren't they home? And why did you trade the world's biggest arms dealer for a fucking basketball player?
Proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So, what additional leverage do you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one. Everyone from the United Nations Security.
He really makes me feel like I'm at work.
The G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu.
I feel like I should be getting paid to watch those.
I'm about to run an ad.
Which has 3 stages. The first stage is.
I was saying more so clocking in.
Yeah.
Ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire.
All right, guys, let's go play bingo.
Phase is the end of the war. The only one
What's
who wants
up?
the war to continue is Hamas. Number one.
Taking your brother.
Yeah. We're still pushing hard.
Taking your brother.
To
All right.
accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're trying to say the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was
You did nothing about that. The Iron Dome saved them.
We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
You did nothing. Israel defended themselves like they should.
Not allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for.
Is that Libby?
Yeah. Of course, you got a loud ass mouth.
Let's go back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right. Make them pay their fair share. It doesn't have to be just us.
They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us.
Yeah.
Dumb political.
That's Bree.
Hi.
Say hi.
You're dumb, Bree.
Look, she drew this.
Did she?
Yeah, Justin was like, who is that?
That's Renegade Raider.
Oh, look at the boobs.
Israel's the one that wants to. The only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one.
I didn't know Bree was a streamer.
Are you? She's not streaming right now. Are you really wearing a Concordia shirt? Jesus, you are a walking billboard for that place.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard
Did you see it?
Yeah, she should have seen it. She looked. I don't even have one of those yet.
What?
One that's a Christmas trivia.
A Concordia shirt.
I want a Concordia hoodie.
I want the one like Gabby got.
Which one?
She got a Nike one.
What? She probably spent her 15 kindness cash.
The kindness cash that I'm no longer eligible for.
Yeah,
I never get it.
I mean, I have a couple, but I don't have enough to get because when you don't work daylight, you don't get.
See what happens then. He has no
I know.
Yeah.
And by the way, I got 50
That's messed up.
around the world,
I'll start giving out like Oprah.
including Japan.
Everybody gets kindness cash.
Can you give me some?
She told me, Sharon gave me kindness
I want to get a
cash
hoodie.
the other day because I made Virginia, or I was looking for a banana for Virginia. She would not give me kindness cash because I took Betty to the bathroom.
Would you support the creation
She
of
said,
an
but that's your
independent
job. I
Palestinian
said,
state
yeah, Virginia,
in order to
a
achieve
banana
peace
is
in
my
the
job
region?
too.
That's what we do, though.
She would
The problem we have
Well, Sharon hurt her toes, Lib.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I got kindness cash for Sharon hurting her toe and me doing her job all day.
Well, how many? Did you just get one?
I got one kindness cash. I was like, are you serious? One?
She's handing them out during fire drills now.
We're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture.
Well, she told me, I'll start giving you more. I was like, I should have been getting more for how long? What do you mean you'll start?
With NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened?
They paid.
Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After
there we go.
Orders that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in and
He kind of just pushed the question aside.
What happened to the United States' reputation under
Kind of did start there, but still.
Is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago.
Not Nancy
Her
Pelosi.
daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say. But she's saying,
they say.
oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Oh, here we go.
He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill.
No, he didn't.
I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop.
Pull out the receipts, Trump. Oh, there you go.
People being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones that are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out, and now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. when you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm
Oh,
looking at, right?
there it is.
And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just
They
went in and
didn't.
broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted. He'll be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute.
No.
Wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie.
Look, his finger don't even point straight. It's shaking like a motherfucker. Look at that thing. Looks like a cold hot dog when you pull it out the pack and just shakes.
Not dog finger.
Our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things?
False accusations.
On the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about?
This coming from a man who clearly had his wife and daughter murdered.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one.
I wish it did.
There was a case that was started and moved. They moved a
Didn't Joe Biden say he liked little kids like
Yeah.
on his leg hair?
Yep.
Start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent.
He did.
He thought it was going to damage me, but when the public
I'm eating a Mr. Beast chocolate bar.
I still wish there was a Mr. Beast burger.
But when they found out about these
There
cases,
is. There was one by us.
No, they're all gone. He got rid of them.
Oh.
They were so good.
Than we've ever taken in the history.
Yeah, it was like a ghost kitchen in
Yeah.
somewhere up in the mills.
Yeah, you know, because Chris became whatever.
Because the public knows it's a scam.
Oh.
and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
No. The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done.
You're an idiot.
More coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming.
Why would you say that?
He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again.
He didn't die in Iraq, and he didn't die because of Iraq. He died because of cancer.
Swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang.
He needs to stop with this whole, my son died as a hero. No, he didn't. Your son died in a
Are
fucking...
you vaping?
Yeah.
They asked him, they said, what
Your son died in a bed in a hospital.
The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop him, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of America.
Yeah, but this is coming from the same country that made him Man of the Year.
Totally wiped out, because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president.
What the fuck is he talking about?
And the idea that he's
I have
talking
no
about
idea.
all this being fabricated. We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well.
Oh,
So
God.
Why are they not endorsing him?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a fucking debate going on Twitter. He should have... Well, I don't understand why he wasn't invited in. Nick Merckx, pack it up, dude. Oh, God. Hey, Tom Hanks. Nick Merckx, pack it up. Dude belongs in a bed with a double socks. Trump in November. My God, this presidential debate proves that we need younger presidential candidates. I agree.
Biden just sounds so old.
Yeah.
Oops.
Joe Biden's literally malfunctioning. Trump should just cede all his time to Biden. That's his strongest selling point. When Biden starts a sentence that he can't finish because he lost his train of thought. All kidding aside, if this was your grandparent, would you let him drive a car after this, let alone run a country? I feel bad for Biden. People close to him shouldn't have let the second term run happen. I agree. 2024 president ballot. Nursing home patient or felon? Felon. Trump gave him, is this dude retarded? Double take. Oh, shit. Can you see my camera? Oh, where is it? It's Trump debating a bottle of Adderall on Twitter.
Presidential debate live from Georgia. Let's talk about persistent challenges you both
How long
faced
is this
in your
debate?
first terms, and you'd
30
certainly
more
face again
minutes.
in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earned far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're providing housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative
Be like
to
my
child
pap
care
running. Yeah.
is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We've got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We've got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters?
He looked terrified for a second.
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit.
It should be anybody that's a first-time home buyer. It shouldn't be black. Like, that's discrimination.
Black families and those black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning.
No one should get preferred care because of their race. Like, that's part of the issue. And that's what these black people don't see. Like, they're trying to buy your vote by giving you these things that or worse something.
He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other, all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18.
There's no such thing as black jobs. It's jobs.
They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen.
Like you're making it sound like, okay, well the black jobs are the gardeners and the roofers and all that. Like no, the job's a job.
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy. Absolutely decimated the economy.
COVID decimated the economy.
Inflation at the time.
And then you went and fucked it up even more.
Provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals.
By giving all these small businesses loans to stay open when they had no business being open.
We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that
allowing Amazon to become a billion-dollar corporation overnight because they were the only ones allowed to sell stuff.
You know what I found funny?
What?
That Zoom was the big thing when we had Skype.
Yeah. Or Microsoft Teams.
And any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
The fuck did he just say?
Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting
in recorded history, so we're only going back like 200 years in history.
Stronger hurricanes and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to
it's already been found geologically that this has happened before.
Will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police
Donald
group.
J. Trump.
And what he's done to the black
Ooh, what happened there?
is horrible, including the fact that
it's a lot of blue. It looks like the living room.
Forget that. Super Predators was his name, and he called it to them, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black
wasn't
colleges
closed.
and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, because you send $15 an hour back in pesos. Someone's living big.
Take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet,
I'm a big proponent of nuclear power. I like nuclear power. It is the cleanest power we create as a human race. The issue is everybody's scared of it. And there's no reason to be scared of it because it's just water and protons.
The most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way,
do we need to repeat?
I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges.
Yeah, bro.
They don't have
Deion Sanders made more for black colleges than that.
they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money. But now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech.
One time he was like,
that he is claiming to have
rich
done
kids
something that had the cleanest water.
are the same as black kids or something.
Everybody has the same opportunities in life. It is about how you were raised and to take advantage of those opportunities.
Celsius at any one point where there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing.
No, the only existential threat to humanity is space.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion.
Space. That shit is terrifying. Like, what if an asteroid just decides to get caught in Jupiter's gravity and get thrown our way? We're fucked. You know, people don't think of that.
Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before.
Look, Donald Trump made the Space Force. Got my vote.
I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
About Obamacare.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress.
There's nothing wrong with that, but you can't just throw all your eggs in that one basket like he did.
And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
so every day.
Nope, he forgot what he's saying. By the way,
provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social
should have done George Bush's plan.
make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
They pay their fair share.
Everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that
People start working at 15, bro.
Proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures?
1% of $1 million
keep Social Security solvent, or is just
is $1,000 basically.
That one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest.
It's basically what we pay a year.
This man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security, he thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times. And that's what, and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before.
And it's because the advances in the medical industry, not because of you.
400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels.
I feel like we've heard this already.
He's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation.
We actually were in a recession.
By the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted that him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child.
You still there?
For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired.
We lost Bumblebee.
Every military man that was involved.
Your internet went out.
The Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore.
I agree, but there also should have been a better candidate between you guys.
President Trump, President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world.
No, we're not.
We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak.
It's not. No one doesn't think the military's weak. Everybody thinks you're weak.
That we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are imported.
Food's not being imported.
He's in a situation where
we grow most of the food for the world here.
Not raised. He somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want to
by you
about $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history. Number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now
close the border
of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China.
There it is.
So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction?
Yeah, I wonder if their ties are opposite today.
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before.
Red and blue.
In every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? it's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways, but the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of...
Do these machines work, though? Are they legit?
And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues and said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do.
You can't third world country like that.
And again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy. And he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I
don't know.
Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 50 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country.
We are.
I didn't talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me
I'm pretty sure you called it a failing country 4 years ago.
Wouldn't trade places with the United States of America. For all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you.
If they didn't want to screw around with us, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
At the end of your second term, what do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took calculator tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way,
he's playing on strokes, not handicaps, dumbass.
Think you can do it?
That's the biggest rival. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
I love how it turned into a golf thing.
Act like children.
the specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he
Not wrong.
me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation.
There we go.
We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
At least he's not enough to call you a gentleman.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of
I guess he don't watch the news around the world and see how much of a joke he is.
And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President
president.
Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was...
Yep, there we go.
And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed.
You whined when you were told not to run.
No court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what.
I actually know some evidence.
Because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
I thought this was going to be over by now.
On our places, bright shiny faces.
I'll be back. All right, we're back. What's he talking about?
I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate.
There's no one in the audience, Joe.
The fact is that
Did I not bring my drink?
nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are...
Oh, I lost a follower. Nice.
For people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Nope. That's where I crossed the line on that shit. Alright, so there it was. No reason why we watch it is because it's important to be informed. You have to be informed. You have to hear what they have to say. That is the best way to do this. It's what I was taught. Yeah, I didn't watch them until I was in high school. Now I do watch the debates every time there's a debate, no matter what it is, because you have to hear what they're saying, whether it be a lie or not. Because for someone like me, I vote purple. Like, I'm not either or. I pick who aligns with me the best. Yeah, so that's it. We'll go back to playing video games tomorrow and hopefully get a follower back because we lost a follower and that's not fun. But then again, there's only 2 viewers, so it is what it is. We'll grow somehow, some way. We'll get something going here, or you never know. It is what it is. But remember, my opinions are my own. Your opinions are your own. We're not going to hate each other for our difference in opinions or similarities in opinions. That's not what this country is about. It's about people with different opinions coming together and doing something for the common good. Clearly, neither one of these 2 candidates can do that. This country is a hodgepodge of everything. And it's supposed to stick together and really push through anything. It's not supposed to be Democratic Party this, Republican Party that. Democrats are keeping up. No, it's not supposed. It's supposed to be. We're from 2 different views, but guess what? We're gonna work together to make this work. That's all it is, and that's how it should be, and that's what the forefathers wanted. People with different opinions and different views to work together to make a better country, a safe country, a prosperous country. That's what it was. You know, that's why we have the right to bear arms, so we can not fully walk around with rifles and everything, but to have the ability to fight tyranny whenever tyranny might present itself. That is how the Second Amendment is defined. Not, oh, I have the right to a gun, I'm going to carry a gun. You have the right to own a weapon. You don't have the right to terrorize people. You don't have the right to become the tyrant. Personally, I don't feel like either one of them won this debate. I feel like it was kind of a moot point and lackluster. The questions weren't really the questions were the questions we thought they were going to be Biden heavy. Like these questions are going to help Biden. That's basically what it was. Yeah, so it is what it is. We'll watch the next one if there's a next one. Yeah. But thank you for watching. Remember on YouTube, follow, subscribe, comment, share. Same thing on Twitch if you watch the VOD. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow evening with more video games. Maybe some Fallout. Maybe some Ark. I'm not entirely sure at the moment. But everyone have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow. Come out.